Insurance companies often discourage people from getting an attorney. If I can't get you more, even after our fee, then you owe us nothing, not even our costs. I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12670. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
And we welcome you into Hanny Time 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Mario Jerez, Taylor Sharp. The three of us just got in. We were in Gulf Shores this morning. We were filming the Tom Brady retirement. Didn't it look like he was on the beach in Gulf Shores?
It did.
Or Destin,
At a
or
hotel before, I'm sure.
Orange Beach. I mean, it's like I'm sure he was somewhere other than that. Might have been in Tampa, might have been in Miami, could have been in Morocco. I don't know, but the background it looked like it looked like where you go. I mean, hell, maybe he went from there straight to the Floribama and had a mudslide. What do you call a bushwhacker? He was straight from there. Hey, my name's Tom. I just retired. Can I have a bushwhacker? Yeah, sure, Tom. No problem. About 15 minutes. Shay Dixon from On 3 will be with us. It's National Signing Day. Certainly doesn't feel like it. But what we're going to talk with Shay about more is what LSU's doing moving forward and some potential changes to the recruiting calendar yet again that the coaches are in favor of. First class, second class, no class at the bottom of the hour. We start with the finality of Sean Payton going to the Denver Broncos. So my initial reaction, and we got it yesterday just as we were finishing up the podcast, so we doubled up on the podcast today talking about Sean Payton. When we started this exercise, I wanted to start with the highest possible compensation, which was what the Bucks got for John Gruden 20-some-odd years ago, which was 2 1s and 2 2s. That it was pretty obvious early that was going to be way, way high, and that the Raiders were in a desperate situation back then. So if you're trying to use historical context, that's probably not the best one. It's where I would have started. It's not where I expected that the Saints would end up. Then you get into the Bill Belichick and the Bill Parcells compensation, which was a 1 and something. For Parcells, it was a 1, 2, a 3, and a 4. For Belichick, it was a 1, a 4, and a 7, and you got a 5 and a 7 coming back. After this was, got into the real meat and potatoes of this, which was Sean Payton meeting with teams. I've been saying on the podcast, like Denver makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons, and I'm not sure if anybody else is bidding against them. Arizona never seemed to be a fit to me because of the owner. Houston, I thought they had an outside chance at it, but was not really the place that I thought he would end up either. To me, it was going to be Denver, or probably he was going to go back to Fox. The Colts and the Panthers were the other teams. The Saints' compensation level for Carolina, I thought, made that impossible, and the Colts were never really in this thing. So if your thing is they should have held Denver's feet to the fire for more, keep in mind that Denver wasn't bidding against anybody else. In fact, there was ample evidence that the Broncos, had they been able to get DeMeco Ryans to agree to a contract, might have gone in that direction. But DeMeco was headed to Houston, where he played for a long time, and got a 6-year contract there. The reasons that this fit, again, were obvious. The Broncos' first-round pick was not a premium pick, so it was one that they were willing to surrender. They could come up with enough other draft capital that would compensate the Saints. Sean Payton wanted to go there because of the ownership group, which is extremely deep-pocketed, which is sort of like saying the Pacific Ocean is deep. And he's got a quarterback that up until, 6 months ago, everybody thought was going to the Hall of Fame and still may go to the Hall of Fame. So for the Saints to get a first-round pick and a second-round pick, I was fine with that. I was a little rankled that they had to give back a 3. I would have felt a lot better about this deal if it, and judging from the reaction from a lot of Saints fans, that's kind of the way a lot of people felt. But if it had been Payton for a 1 and a 2, I'd have been fine with that. The fact that the Saints had to give back a 3, little offsetting, but not enough to kill the deal. Again, Houston not bidding against Denver. Arizona not bidding against Denver. Indiana, Carolina not bidding against Denver. It's Denver or it's Fox. And Fox ain't sending you no draft choices. So was it everything you wanted? No. Was it everything you needed? Pretty close. Because what this does for the Saints is this makes them pretty close to whole draft capital-wise for the next 2 years for their rebuild. And whether they know it or not, they're in a rebuild. So now this year you have Denver's 1, your 2, a 3, a 4, 2 5s, and a 7. So you don't have a 6 pick because of the Bradley Roby trade, but you've got 2 5s. So you're whole on this year's draft. You have, according to, I wanted to make this official, so I went to Harvard, right? The Harvard Sports Analysis Collective chart. This is the updated high analytics version of the old Jimmy Johnson draft chart, which they now consider antiquated because they've got so much more data to go with. The Saints have the 21st most draft capital when you add the value of all their picks this year. That ain't great for a team that should have had the 10th pick in the first round, but it's better than 29th, which is where they were yesterday at this time. So this is a significant amount, and that's just the draft capital for this year. Next year, you have your 1, the Broncos 2, your 4, your 5, your 6, and the Eagles 6. Remember the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade? They didn't get absolutely nothing. They got very close to nothing, but not absolutely nothing. The Eagles have got your second rounder next year, and the Texans have got your 7th rounder because of the Mark Ingram trade. So short of your 3 next year, you're completely made whole draft-wise. Again, is it perfect? No. I'd rather have the 10th pick in this year's draft than the 29th pick in this year's draft. But it looks a hell of a lot better. This for a team that has got to begin to rebuild. It doesn't solve your quarterback problem, but you weren't going to solve your quarterback problem in this arena. You now have all of your draft ammunition, and now you can go about fixing the $60,474,996 that you are over the cap right now. But the Saints, as always, are 50 cents away from defaulting on every salary cap deal that they've got out there. They have a little over $5 million in dead money, and they've got these picks. For Denver, I think this is a great deal for Denver. I would have done this deal 10 times over on Denver's side. They needed a splash hire. They've whiffed on the last 3. It's a new ownership group. They are not cheap. They are, by all accounts, pretty much the richest ownership group in the NFL. So they are not going to go and hire an unknown assistant, okay? DeMeco Ryans, by the way, is not an unknown assistant. He is, the best defense in football. He was a player just recently. He's not an unknown assistant. Nathaniel Hackett was pretty much an unknown assistant, not an unknown assistant. They were going to go out and they were going to make a splash hire. They need to fix their quarterback. Can he fix Russell Wilson? I don't know that Russell Wilson had anything more broken with him than Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett was, I hate to keep piling on the guy, but friends and neighbors, this was potentially the worst hire in the history of the National Football League. I'm not exaggerating. There's only 5 guys that were non-interim guys that didn't make it to the end of their first year, and he's one of them. Look at what Denver did after he left. Week 17, they take the lead to the 4th quarter at Arrowhead. Everybody was playing for the Chiefs. The Chiefs still had stuff to play for. Mahomes was playing. Kelsey was playing. Whole defense was playing. They take the lead to the 4th quarter. Wilson in that game was 26 of 38 for 222 yards, a touchdown, and interception. Not Canton numbers, but not the absolute disaster that they had been to that point in the season. Chiefs got them at the end. Week 18, they beat the Chargers. and they were leading at the end of the third quarter before that imbecile Brandon Staley finally took his starters out because, they had a playoff game coming up the next week. Wilson threw for 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Looked a lot closer to the Russell Wilson that, we had seen for a long time in Seattle. Is Wilson what he was in the Super Bowl years at Seattle? No. But even with the year he just had, if I'm tiering quarterbacks, Wilson's still in my second tier with the potential to get back into the first tier. He was in the first tier for a long time. Potential to get back into the second tier. Denver has invested with their wide receivers. Jerry Jeudy was a first-round pick. Cortland Sutton was a high second-round pick. They stole the tight end Dulcich from UCLA last year. He only played in 10 games. He had 33 catches. He looks like a steal. They'll get Javonte Williams back. Williams had a terrific rookie season. He rushed for 900 yards. He had 43 catches. He had 4 games last year, and then he got hurt, and he was out. They'll get him back. He's only 23 years old. This defense last year, with absolutely zero help from the offense, was 14th in the league in points allowed. That's not terrible, but they were 3rd in the league in yards allowed per play. A lot of the handicappers like the yards per play stat better than the overall stat because it's a little bit more specific. Ejiro Evero is, and I know I'm butchering how you say his name, but he's one of the hot coordinators in the league right now. If you can play defense with absolutely no help from the other side of the football, you've done a pretty good job. He interviewed for a couple of head coaching positions. I don't know if Payton's going to bring him back or not. It's certainly Sean Payton's defensive coordinator is a pretty attractive position to be in because he has, by and large, left those guys alone. If you were the defensive coordinator for the Saints, you got to run your own show. Now, he'd have fired you if you didn't do your own show, if you didn't do a good job. He fired Spagnuolo after 1 year, but he would allow you to pretty much have free reign on that side of the football. So they'll be able to, if Evero decides to move on, they will be able to they'll be able to replace him. And again, plenty money. Plenty money. Broncos have $9.2 million in cap space. Did I mention they have plenty of money? And only $1.5 million in dead money on their cap. Point being, Denver can be turned around very quickly. Vegas's over-under on Denver at the beginning of the season was 9.5 or 10, depending on where you did your shopping. That gets you in the AFC playoffs if they had just performed to expectations. Again, they had a terrible coach, a terrible coach. Russell Wilson was not injured. Russell Wilson is in shape. Russell Wilson may not be the most popular guy in that locker room. And, I heard Teddy Bruschi yesterday talking about celebrity quarterbacks and how you have to deal with them. And Russell Wilson is a celebrity. But I don't think it's a deal breaker. Russell Wilson, behind the scenes, according to the reports, was very excited about Sean Payton coming in. And I can understand that. He figures that this is the best offensive mind that he's going to be able to get to work with. And if he's got any pride at all, and I think he does, he's going to want to prove that last season was a fluke. He's going to want to bolster that resume for Canton and win another championship and say, hey, listen, I did it in Seattle. I did it in Denver. We had a 1-year hiccup, but I had a goofball as a head coach. So that's the one-off. That's not the rest of my career. We'll see. I think this works on a lot of levels. I think the Saints are happy. I think the Broncos are happy. I think Payton's happy. I think Russell Wilson is happy. And you know who else is happy today? I'll tell you who would be. I don't know what the eventual contract is going to be for Sean Payton. But the reports are $20 million is likely. Top paid coach in the league last year was Sean McVay at $14 million. So we're talking about a pretty significant hike if Payton gets $20 million. You know who the happiest guy in the world ought to be right now? Mike Tomlin. Ought to march right into Pittsburgh's office and say, hey, put Payton's resume up there on the wall right there. Put mine right next to it because you know what? They're pretty damn close. He's making a lot more money than me now. We need to fix this. Take a break. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Me, Jimmy Ott, for the Wednesday evening edition of Game Time. We're live at Roca Pizzeria on Government Street. Game Time at Roca Pizzeria, Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Annegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com. Also, the Hannycast podcast available where you get podcasts, as well as 1045ESPN.com. Let's bring in Shay Dixon from On 3. Shay, good afternoon. How are you?
Did you know it was signing day today, Charlie?
Well, somebody reminded me. Once upon a time, not that long ago, signing day would mean a very early start, a very late finish, and a very full day. This feels like any other day for me. I don't know how you feel being directly involved with recruiting, but pretty quiet, eh?
The least quiet it's ever been. We can obviously talk about why, but I've already gotten a couple of texts just right before going on with you from two buddies who said, I would have been drunk right about now 6 or 7 years ago listening to Charlie at the Bash, but now I'm working and nobody's committing today.
Yeah,
so times have changed.
Yeah, it was a great run for the Bash, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of those days, a lot of big moments, a lot of big announcements and things like that. So what I want to ask you, because there's not a whole lot as far as signings and things like that, what I want to talk to you mostly about is what the coaches want for changes in the recruiting calendar, and are we headed towards another big shift? The big question that the coaches have is, how are we supposed to put the last rush to signing day, which we're considering December now, along with the transfer portal and our preparations for bowl games, all into the same time period, and this is not working for us and we want to change?
And it makes sense. So remember, too, that football is the only sport, or main sport, that's operating under the December, February. And it was the only one that operated under a once a year. Basketball, everybody else gets split up and does a November, a fall one, and then a spring one in April, May. And I don't know what the best answer is, because they've had so many different changes that you start to get adjusted to it. But because of how you laid that out, how busy December and January, early January become for these college coaches and staffs, doing all the things you just said, getting ready for a bowl, exit meetings with the team, kids going pro. Oh, and we need to put together our entire recruiting class and then right into the portal, is a lot crammed into a small space. And now we get to February. We entered today, Charlie, with, of the on-3 top 300, so the top 300 recruits in the country, only 6 were uncommitted entering today. That's 2% of the recruits in the country are going into February signing day uncommitted. And we've seen it now. I've talked to plenty of college coaches, even in the past few days, who said this would be about that time when we were offering high school kids late, but we don't need to do that anymore, because we can just go into the portal and get a guy who might even be 1 year into college and know more about him and feel better about long-term upside. So I don't know if this signing day will always be here, or if you do a November one and then you have this one just for anybody who's left over. But December is just sticky for me. It's just because of the portal. I think when you added the portal into that, it put you kind of on a month of nonstop recruiting when you're really trying to prep for a bowl or maybe a playoff run or whatever it might be.
Okay, but Shay, if you move this thing up into late November, or even the very beginning of December, instead of preparing for a bowl game in the transfer portal, aren't you preparing your team for regular season games to try to get yourself to a conference championship or to a playoff berth at that point? Isn't that even more cumbersome?
It could well be. So do you think it's a good idea then, if you can't do it at all during a football season, are you doing it in the summer? Is it a good idea for kids to commit or sign with a college before they're even seniors?
Well, Marty McFly, how about we go back to the future and we just put it back the first Wednesday in February and abolish the early signing period? Is that the answer?
I'm not sure. I think that coaches, even though it's a lot, there's a real kind of you're at peace by now in February, right? Because you knew everybody you signed in December. You got everyone in the portal in January, and your roster's basically set. When I was thinking just how wild it was when there was only one signing day. I was talking about this last night with someone. When there was just one signing day, when it was today, the first Wednesday of every February, you hinged your entire class on that day, whether they were committed, whether they were uncommitted. Guys would flip on you late if they were committed, and there was no portal. So it was make or break. Now, because of the portal, you can clean a lot of that up. I think coaches like the idea, though, of finishing or at least getting 99% of your high school recruiting done before that portal window opens, from December to January, because so much of the portal is going to be about patching holes that you didn't fill in high school recruiting. I don't have an answer here. If I did, maybe I'd be out there working for the NCAA, but I don't know if I want to do that either. So maybe I'll just chat about it with you.
Well, you talk to a lot of coaches. I mean, I can throw things out there, but I'm more interested in what you hear from coaches. Is there a consensus out there as to what they want?
I think a lot of them are split. I think a lot of them have changed their minds, too, over the past few years. As first, it was the split signing day. 2018 was the first time they split signing days. And even then, guys like Jamar Chase waited until February and announced and still took visits. But when you threw the portal into it, I think now some of them can say, oh, it feels great right now. Today, oh, I feel amazing. Look, I don't have anything to do. The whole class is built. With quickly forgetting that you just spent the past 2.5 months recruiting every single day while getting ready for a bowl. So they're split, honestly. I don't think any of them – I've never heard somebody feel like I've got the perfect idea and everyone has that shared sentiment. I think all of them are like, hey, this isn't the perfect way to do it, but I don't know if I have a better alternative for you, just because a lot of them, when you say, okay, let's just go back to normal February signing day, would say, well, whoa, I don't want to hinge everything then. I'd like to get my early enrollees signed, everybody else, in addition to the early enrollees signed. And then if you say, okay, well, let's do it before they're seniors, well, that's a little too early. You know, we still like to watch kids as seniors. Maybe they don't really know where they want to go then. So I don't know. I don't know if we've got a great idea for it. I think the way it's set up right now, though, just kills this signing day. There's nothing left. There's only a handful of kids out there that are so uncommitted. So it's not that much of a signing day.
Shay, here's what I am hearing from coaches, which is we never stop recruiting. Now, that's always been a real convenient thing. Oh, we're relentless recruiters and we recruit every day. But now it's real because the dead periods are fewer than they were before. And even when you're in a dead period, it seems like you're still recruiting. And you add that to the fact that they are now recruiting their current roster virtually every day. You can't assume that anybody on your roster is going to be back the following year if you don't continuously. I mean, you want to talk about keep it up every single day. From what I hear from coaches, maybe I'm misreading. You tell me, you talk to more than I do. We're tired, man. We are recruiting every single day of the year, and it never stops. It's like trying to stop the tide from coming in. You'll excuse that expression. But we would like at least some point where we are not chasing 18 to 22-year-olds, 17 to 22-year-olds, 16 to 22-year-olds every single day of our life.
And that is a sentiment shared by everybody that I talk to. It's going to be a reason why and there's not going to be many ways to change it, as you said, with the portal. Now kids can also take official visits in the spring of their junior year. You used to could not even do it until you had started your senior season. So now all spring you're hosting kids. The dead period, as you said, is fewer and far between. We are now in one of the only extended dead periods outside of July. It is the reason why a lot of coaches, in my opinion, NFL jobs will become more desired. Because you only work 7 months of the year, or however many months of the year it is. That's the GM's, responsibility to go sign the kids, to go keep them on the team, the players, the men, whatever. And all you do, you work camp and you coach a season, and that's it. And you get a handful of months off in the off season. That doesn't exist in college anymore. Even when you're getting time off, dead period, well, then you're actually doing your job of coaching the team and being part of game planning and everything else. So no rest for the weary. Look, these guys all get paid a lot of money, but not everybody. There's a lot of schools having to keep up with the Joneses that aren't making the kind of money LSU makes, and those are the coaches especially who are like, man, this is for $100,000. This is a grind, and I love coaching, but I'm not sure how long I can do this. And that's what's ultimately going to make force changes to the recruiting calendar. Is you can't just have a portal. The portal windows were supposed to make up, Charlie, for, okay, well, never mind. Don't worry about having to recruit portal kids all year. How about just during these windows? Well, that's just when you can go into the portal. You can still recruit portal kids right now. Talk to them all you want. Get them to campus outside the dead period. So even the portal windows aren't really, making it easier for you to take time off. You're just that's the pool of kids you get to recruit from. Now go recruit them at any point outside the windows. So, yes, I don't have a great answer, but I will tell you that more and more coaches are like, I wouldn't mind an NFL job if I could find one.
Yeah, I understand that. All right, what's next? What's next on the recruiting calendar now that signing day is upon us and will be behind us?
Well, this is the best part for recruiting fans, right, is you start all over again. And we go through all of it again for a whole another year. But I will say they've got 4, 5, 6 open scholarship spots. I don't know what they're going to do with some of these, guys like Josh Williams have been former walk-ons who were not initial counters that got scholarships, but they'll have 4 or 5 left over. So I would expect the next recruiting news for this year's team will be continuing to recruit the portal, and then May 1st to 15th is that final window when players can go in after spring practice. So maybe LSU has some kids go in, maybe they grab some out of the portal. So I don't think they're done making – in fact, I know they're not done building the roster for next season because they've still got some room to add some more guys.
Shay, as always, we appreciate the time. We'll talk to you soon.
What a signing day, Charlie. We just did a whole segment. There was no commits. There were no signees, and that's the plan, and which is amazing.
Yeah. Shay Dixon from On3, thanks a bunch.
All right, Charlie, thank you.
We'll take a break. We come back, we'll do first class, second class, no class. It's Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's in Denham Springs. Hey, we got Coach live music every weekend, starting on Thursdays at Big Mike's. We got Swamp Pop coming up this Thursday. Plus, Jitterbug dance lessons. Mario, you dance? You know how to jitterbug? Okay. All right. I'm not good at it. Okay. Dance lessons plus DJ K-Jack is there on Saturday. High Water at 8 and Petty Betty at 11. Live ball crawfish. It is that time of year at Big Mike's every day starting at 11 o'clock. Big Mike himself is cooking them up most of those days. And, you haven't seen him recently, check him out for the Denham Springs Parade. He is the Grand Marshal of the Denham Springs Parade on February the 11th. That's because Big Mike's is a part of the very fabric of Denham Springs. For a great meal, a good drink, terrific atmosphere, happy hour drink prices, 3 to 7 Monday through Friday and all day on Sunday starting at 11 a.m. It includes on Super Bowl Sunday. Big Mike's on Aspen and Denham Springs. We're kind of a big deal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has $4,000 off MSRP plus $1,000 Ford credit cash on new 22 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. That's $5,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day. Mornings with Brian Haldane from 6 to 9 a.m. Weekdays on Talk 107.3.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Corval Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Corval Toyota family to yours.
It's on. Join me Wednesday 1 to 3, getting you ready for LSU and Missouri on the hardwood and a little more baseball talk. Hunt Palmer Show 1 to 3 weekdays, 1045 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hanny Time. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, no class, brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. All right, we start off with first class. The Kelseys. There's thousands, maybe millions of families out there that have multiple children playing sports, okay? Maybe they play the same sport. Maybe they play different sports. To get your kids, to both play high school sports, that's pretty easy. All right. To get two of your children to play college sports is pretty hard. Okay. It's really, really hard. There's not a lot of that. Okay. That's the real exception. To get two of your children to play professional sports, the odds are astronomical. So consider what the Kelseys have going here in the Super Bowl. The Kelseys are going to watch their sons square off for a Super Bowl title, knowing that if both of them retire, the second the clock hits zero, they're both going to the Hall of Fame. Jason Kelce, the center for the Eagles, is a 5-time first-team All-Pro and is currently the best center in the National Football League. Compared to some of the other centers that have gone into the Hall of Fame, his results are very, very comparable. Mike Webster, the longtime Steelers Hall of Famer, was a 6-time first-team All-Pro. Dermotty Dawson, the other longtime Steeler, 6-time first-team All-Pro. Dwight Stevenson, 4-time first-team All-Pro with the Dolphins. And, of course, LSU's Kevin Mawai, 7-time first-team All-Pro. Kelce's numbers are right in there with all of them, and he has been a dominant player for a long time. He's the best center in the game right now, even at 35 years old, and he has already been on a Super Bowl winner. He could very well be on another one here in a couple of weeks. 6th-round pick, by the way. Had a pretty good career. And Travis Kelce, I don't think I've got to tell you nearly as much about him. 4-time first-team All-Pro. Travis Kelce in the postseason, I could give you a bunch of stats about Kelce. I'll just give you these. He is second in postseason catches and yards and touchdowns to Jerry Rice. The number of people that have caught more balls for more yards for more touchdowns in the postseason, NFL history, above Travis Kelce is Jerry Rice. That's the list. He's tied with Gronk for touchdowns. By the way, you want to compare him to Gronk. Gronk's going to the Hall of Fame too, right? Nobody's disputing that. Kelce's got, right now, who's 33 years old and has got some time left unless he just decides to retire, has almost 200 more catches than Gronk, over 1,000 yards more than Gronk. He does trail him in touchdowns by 23 over the course of his career, but again, Kelce's only 33 years old. The Kelceys are first class. They have two sons that are the absolute best at their position on their respective teams. One of them's going to win their second Super Bowl a Sunday from now. Wow. Okay, that's pretty good. Second class, I'm going Sean Payton to the Broncos for all the parties involved. We talked about this a lot in the first segment. But listen, if you are in a position where you have more money than you could ever spend, as the Walmarts do, and you just spent a record amount of money for a franchise, which the Walmarts did. And there is a coach out there that is available to you that has won 63% of his games and has won 8 division titles and a Super Bowl and has the resume that Sean Payton does. You go out and you hire that guy. Is he worth $20 million? If he wins the Super Bowl, he is. If he doesn't, he's not. But when you have that kind of money to spend, there's no reason for you to take a chance on an unknown. Listen, if you're an assistant coach and you get a job in the NFL, you get a head coaching job, it's always an unknown. I mean, everybody had to start somewhere, and the hit rate is pretty low. Guys that are assistant coaches that become head coaches, more of a miss than not. But you never really know. I mean, nobody goes from not coaching at all to being a head coach in the NFL. That doesn't happen.
What about Jeff Saturday?
Shut up. Actually, I shouldn't be mad at you for messing up my point. You're making my point for me. Yes, Jeff Saturday went for great player, okay? Really good on TV, but went from his sofa to coaching the Colts. And how well did that go? All right. 1-7, 1-8, blew the biggest lead in the last 30 years or whatever. Actually, I shouldn't even be mad at you for screwing up my point. You made my point for me. Yes, when you go from yes, that is that's what happens when you go from not coaching at all to being a head coach in the National Football League. Excellent example. So good with a chance to be great. This was a good hire for the Broncos. This was a good deal for the Saints. Yes, I would have liked to have gotten more. We went through all that in the first thing. So good with a chance to be great. Sean Payton and the Broncos. My no class this week, we wrote off the Pro Bowl a long time ago. The Pro Bowl has been a joke for a long, long time. When I was a kid, the Pro Bowl actually meant something. The players actually played. They actually tackled. So they finally did away with the game, but they're still doing the Pro Bowl nominations, and they're doing this, fantasy camp that the Mannings are running or whatever. So the Pro Bowl is a joke. But putting Tyler Huntley in the Pro Bowl, whatever the Pro Bowl means these days, is the absolute biggest joke. Just when you thought that the Pro Bowl couldn't lower the bar anymore, Tyler Huntley is elected to the Pro Bowl. Tyler Huntley, who finished 48th in the league in passing yards this year. It's only 32 teams, y'all. He finished behind Bailey Zappi. He finished behind Cooper Rush. He finished behind, this one's going to sting, y'all, Jameis Winston, who we didn't see after, the third week in September. All of those guys threw for more yards than Tyler Huntley. He threw fewer touchdowns than Sam Ehlinger, Mike White, Jarrett Stidham. I don't think Stidham was even in a game until December. He didn't throw enough passes to qualify for the league leaders in completion percentage or quarterback rating, but there he is in whatever it is they're calling the Pro Bowl now, where they are having. I saw this advertisement the other day, the promo for the Pro Bowl, which is the first ever flag football game. Boy, I would have liked to have been around Robert Edwards when he heard that promo. First ever flag football game? No, you geniuses tried this in 1998. Robert Edwards, for those that don't remember, was a fantastic running back at the University of Georgia, was drafted by the New England Patriots, came out in his rookie year, rushed for over 1,000 yards, and was on his way to what seemed like a really, really good career. Went out and they played. This is when the Pro Bowl was in Hawaii every year. They played a flag foot. He wasn't in the Pro Bowl. He was in the festivities around the Pro Bowl and went and played in this ridiculous flag football game on the beach and almost lost his leg. I'm not joking. The damage was so extensive that amputation was a possibility. He was debilitated enough that he finally got back in the league 4 years later. I mean, there was a chance that he wasn't going to walk again. He had nerve damage. in this ridiculous flag football game that they were doing. He made it back 4 years later. He ended up playing a little bit in Canada, but we're going to have the first ever flag football game. Go talk to Robert Edwards. He's coaching high school football now, and ask him if there was another flag football game. There certainly was. I thought the Pro Bowl couldn't go any lower. I was wrong. They have a backup quarterback and a pretty far down the line backup quarterback in the Pro Bowl. I thought that was a pretty good submission for No Class this week, but Mario managed to top me. You found a really, really No Class story.
Yeah, so that was bad, but I think this is a little worse. So Arlisha Boykins was an assistant coach for the Churchland High School JV girls team. This is in Virginia. She's 22 years old. This past weekend, one of her players was not with the team. She was away, different tournament, different team, age of AAU, all that stuff. So Boykins, again, 22 years old, decided to impersonate that player. And she put a uniform on, she got on the floor, and she started bawling out against a bunch of 13-year-olds. Of course, she got fired, and the rest of the players on the Churchland JV team and their parents have opted out the rest of the season. They're not playing any more basketball this season. And now the school is investigating the incident, and the student's family is asking for an apology. No Class.
Okay, absolutely No Class. And like I said, a better submission than I came up with. But here's my deal. We're in the late part of January when this happened. So they've been playing basketball since November. And I'm quite certain that somebody saw this woman as an assistant coach somewhere in a game between November and the middle to end of January. Maybe she has, maybe she's not any bigger than the players on the team. Maybe she's got a baby face. So if she had walked in from out of nowhere, maybe she could have passed for a JV player. Probably not, but maybe, who knows. But she's been coaching since November. Nobody saw this. Were all of the other players, I mean, the players had to know, hey, coach is suiting up.
Yeah,
how cool.
You would think, and watching the video Taylor played, like there's a little height disparity there.
Because if you're 13 or 14 years old, you think, hey, we're going to get over on this. You don't realize how seriously messed up this is.
So wait, you said they fired her?
Yes.
That's what you get for trying to do everything you can to win, I guess.
I mean, I told Taylor, when you see younger kids in a situation like this, you get an urge to play. You do. You're jealous. They still get to play, a children's game, but you can't just get on the court and start playing against them.
22 years old playing in a JV basketball game. Yes, this is the height of No Class. Mario, you win. You did better than me this week. Oh, man. Nobody saw this?
Apparently not.
No. I mean, when she walks out onto the floor, somebody didn't say, weren't you the coach last week? Are you out of eligibility for JV? Not even varsity. Come on, man. Well done, Mario. First Class, Second Class, No Class, brought to you by Supreme Rice and our friends at Supreme Rice down in Crowley, Louisiana. All of our Supreme Rice grown, milled, and processed down there since the 1930s. You're going to be supporting our Louisiana farmers. You're going to get a great product. You're going to stretch your food dollar. So, jambalayas, etouffees, gumbos, red beans, whatever you're using rice for, make it Supreme Rice, whether it's the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine, which is our particular favorite, make it Supreme Rice. Easy to get. All your AG food stores, all of your Walmarts, including your Walmart neighborhood stores, available in New Orleans market as well, plus all of your Rouses. Supreme Rice. For more information, some unique recipes, go to supremerice.com. Come back to wrap it up
Our
here.
listeners.
Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Arms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. More reaction to Sean Payton becoming the Broncos head coach. We'll preview LSU, Missouri, recap Pels and Nuggets. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Champ says we see a 6'2", 11-year-old player with a beard. Just, kind of ignore it. It's nothing to see here. I once played a junior high game with against a kid that had what for 8th grade, as far as we were concerned, looked like a beard. He was the right age. We checked him out. I mean, this happened to anybody else? You're playing at a junior high game or a JV game, and this one kid gets off the bus, and you're like, come on, man. I mean, that happens, okay? That happened to us. This kid gets off the bus, and he's, 6 inches taller than pretty much anybody out there, outweighs the group by 50 pounds. It's like, no, he's 13. Okay, well, then, I guess he can play in the junior high game. But none of them ever coached before, I guess, is my point. I mean, you can't be the coach the week before. But I guess, Taylor, is better than stealing $1.5 million worth of chicken wings. We got this was another no class that we got?
Yeah. Chicago cafeteria worker. She was ordering chicken wings, 11,000 cases she stole over like a 1.5 year period, was reselling it. But they found out because at the elementary school, they only serve boneless chicken. She made the mistake, went with the bone in. She got caught.
Stupid criminals.
Yeah, I know.
But it took them 2 years to catch her.
Yeah.
$1.5 million or pounds?
Dollars. 11,000 cases.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you said $1.5 million or $1.5 million.
No, $1.5 million.
$1.5 million worth of chicken walks out the door over a 2-year period. And they caught her because she was reselling the wrong kind of chicken. Wow. What did I say? Stupid criminals? Didn't they used to, on one of the late night shows, they used to do the thing called Stupid Criminals?
World's dumbest.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a criminal trying to steal that much, but doesn't somebody at the school have to say, you know what? We've noticed that some of the chicken's been missing for a while. I mean, how does this happen? I mean, this is like a college paying a coach $1 million extra that he didn't earn over a 6-month period. I mean, when does that happen? Oh, wait. How come I only have to work with the good accountants? Okay. How come? I mean, Moscona still owes me $300 from a flight that we had to change because Kay tried to send us through Nova Scotia coming back from Atlanta. Maybe we're just on the wrong end of things. For Taylor Sharp, for Mario Jerez, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer. This has been Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Friends at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. Right now, 60 months, 3.9% APR for most models on the lot. Loyalty cash coming back on the MDX and the TLX at $1,000 and a 2-year, 24,000-mile complimentary scheduled maintenance on all 2023 models. If you're in the market for a certified pre-owned vehicle, know that, first of all, there's a large selection on the lot, and these vehicles have been through a rigorous inspection to get them back up to code. 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain coverage, roadside assistance for your older drivers, your younger drivers, and invaluable tool if they were ever to get stuck. You've also got your first scheduled maintenance is free, complimentary service vehicle. When you do bring your vehicle in for maintenance, you don't have to worry about sitting around and waiting for it, and you also don't have to worry about arranging for transportation. So when we have done our shopping, we have done it at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. We encourage you to do the same. Transparency in pricing and a family atmosphere, all at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.